Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You got me?
Yes, sir. You got me?
Yeah, I got you perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna need to use studio headphones.
Let me play the music, see if you hear it.
I'll just keep this muted.
Do you hear the music?
Cool. Yeah. That's much better. Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, I've got that muted. So if I can just plug in like right here. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Oops. No.
FreedomsLesson.com. Listener supported. He also said that every generation needs a revolution. The American dream is just that.
So Kevin, did you hear the music?
Yeah, I got it.
It's a continuation of economics, by the way.
Okay, so let me mute myself. Another studio should be 1 minute or
yeah,
so.
It's cutting in and out, so if you could give me a thumbs up when to start talking, that'd be great.
Well, it's because you are hearing it through me. It's not directly the studio right now. You are hearing it through the speakers here on the micro. You'll get it. Okay, let me connect the studio, so I'll mute myself.
Okie dokie. And welcome to Revolution Radio. This is Major James Burdock. I'm filling in for Dr. A. Truwatt. Wow. This is such an honor to be able to do this show. I can't even tell you. So we're gonna try to do him proud. Thank you, True, for the opportunity to help out when you're. I know you're a man on the move. You've got missions all over the place and undisclosed locations and obligations. So we're gonna do our best to help out. For those of you, you probably heard me in the background for the last year or so. True and I have been in a kind of informal partnership, but a partnership of the minds. And I figured one of the things that brought us together is exactly what we're going to be talking about today on this show. And this is going to boil your blood, folks. This is going to be a wild ride because we had absolutely the most incredible week on this. I'm telling you. Visa, MasterCard cut off payment to people that they just don't agree with. Facebook is getting sued. Now get this, we're going to get into this later. I'm going to run through all of this, and I just want, we're going to have Phil come on here. Phil is an editor and writer at large here at the Goldwater. So we're going to be looking at all of these issues. Go ahead and mute if you would, Phil. And
Gotcha.
we'll get you your opportunity to chime in because I'm going to lay out the playing field here. Censorship is a big issue. That's the reason. I mean, that's my job is to point this out to people. That's the reason our network exists, and that's the reason True and I get along so well is because we just don't like the idea of people telling us what to say and what to think. I don't think anyone really does, even when you're a kid. And then again, those are your parents. I don't know who these billionaires in Silicon Valley are, but they certainly were not taking care of me as a child. And I don't think they have my best interest in mind. So we're going to be talking about, of course, Facebook. And there's some really, really scary stuff going on with Facebook. We're going to be talking about trust ratings. Now, if you all haven't heard of trust ratings, this is something that they used in China that they're still using. The concept is there. And basically what you're doing is after you serial number your citizens, then you're going to give them a credit score, a trust score, if you will, as if they're behaving the way you want them to be, they get a higher score. If they behave in a way you don't want them to behave, then they get scored accordingly. Now, the really scary thing about this is that this affects how you're going to be able to travel, if you're going to be able to get a certain job. People will be using it. What is your trust rating when the HR department? And not only that, but they're going to be selling your trust rating to HR departments and banks and airlines. So it's going to affect every single aspect of your life. And on top of it, what you can say over what right now is the communication network of the world. So it is an incredibly, incredibly scary thing here, folks. We've got a real 1984 situation happening as we speak, and Facebook is gone. They dove right into the pool. It is incredible what they think they're getting away with. I mean, I can't imagine how people aren't incensed about this. So stay tuned on this one. This is not going to go away, and it's going to actually take a hell of a lot of battle to bring this not only to the forefront, to make people, the first thing that people are going to say about this is, oh, it's a debunked conspiracy. There is no such thing as a trust score. Don't worry about it. Nothing's happening here. And if there is, it's the, oh man, those are those crazy people, those loonies that listen to the story behind the story. Or go to 8chan or the Goldwater or whatnot. But trust me, folks, this is happening, and it's not going to go away without a huge fight just to even put it in the light. So very, very terrifying stuff. Visa, MasterCard cut off payments to David Horowitz. Now, you may not like David Horowitz. You may not like Alex Jones and InfoWars. But what happened to them last week is significant to you, and everybody should care about it. What's occurring is, not only in Horowitz's case, this is insane. It's not good enough to ban him, but he's going to have the Southern Poverty Law Center, which somehow decided they were going to get into this whole thing. I mean, how is the Southern Poverty Law Center all of a sudden in charge of pointing their finger and saying, well, that's hate? Who decided, and how did they get on that board, and who decided, and are they, like, if you're going to put on a board, somebody on a board, I mean, I would think that all of them should be trained mediators. All of them should have background checks, and they should, certainly people should look into their background as to what, if they've been donating to certain candidates, if they've gotten job contracts perhaps from other people. Where's the money coming from? That's what I want to know. Is it coming from Facebook? Yes, it is. It is. So here we go. Visa and MasterCard. Now, so what happened here is that David Horowitz is, he's got a think tank, and they happen to be a right-wing group. Okay, so be it. And the Southern Poverty Law Center has been after them for years, because they don't agree with what these guys are saying. They're not shooting people. They're not inciting violence. They're not peddling child pornography. They're simply saying what they believe, and it's a group of people that, if you don't even really, I'm just urging people, don't even get into the message at this point. So take a look at David Horowitz. I mean, agree with him or not. Alex Jones, agree with him or not. We're not here to talk about the topics. We're talking about the fact that this guy, now, he's being shut down. And it used to be, okay, it would be your ISP, and then it'd be your upstream, and then it would be going, hey, maybe, Amazon or Microsoft might own that fiber, the fiber lease, okay? And then with payment, okay, if they can't shut you down there, then they're going to shut you down on the bank. So if your merchant account folks don't agree with you, they'll shut you down. If they say, oh, well, we can't do that, and the bank says, oh, well, the guys that the merchant people work with, the banks say, no, well, You know, I mean, we really can't go that far. Visa and MasterCard will do it. And that's exactly what they did this week. They shut down David Horowitz. We're going to be getting into that all the way through. We're going to be running across the board here because this is not just about the United States. This is a worldwide epidemic of globalist mentality and people who have gone completely insane with groupthink. Scary stuff. People who want to control everything, every aspect about what you think, what you're able to say, and what you buy. Terrible, terrible stuff. I mean, this is really the worst of the worst, and it's all culminating. All of it is coming through. And I don't see any end to it. It's just, you would think that these people are worried about antitrust. You would think that, and we're going to get into how absolutely insane they are. They're controlling the media. So, for example, let's take a look at the mayor of London. They don't like anybody talking about maybe immigration might be a problem over there. Maybe there's some drug gangs that are running around, and you know, you might have to arrest some of these people just, you know, for the sake of upholding the law and making sure more people don't get killed. Total media silence. And there's total media silence on everything that I'm talking about right now, which is the Facebook trust ratings, the absolute censorship that's occurring. So that's London. We're going to be going back through. We're going to be talking about South Africa. We're going to get Phil on here in a bit. Thanks for your patience, Phil. Thank you, True. If you want to jump in, I don't know if you're traveling or if you're able to listen in at the moment, but everybody can chime in here in a bit. I just need to get this off my chest. MSNBC is in a complete blackout about this girl in Iowa. Does anyone know about who this girl in Iowa is? I mean, does that ring a bell? Because
I know she hated white people, right?
Well, what we're going to get into in a bit is a girl in Iowa, according to MSNBC.
Some girl in Iowa, yeah.
Now, a girl in Iowa is Molly Tibbetts, okay? And you're gonna have to excuse me because I gotta get this all off my chest, and then we'll come back and banter. We got a lot to explore here, Phil, but I got to keep running with this. Molly Tibbetts, okay? Anybody remember her? She's running along in a farm outside University of Iowa, out in Iowa. And she disappears, and it's national headlines, and the whole world is looking for her, and especially because she's a very beautiful young woman, and of course the media loves that. This is absolute national headlines. We all want to find Molly Tibbetts. Now, what happens when we find out that she got killed by an illegal immigrant? It is a media blackout. It's no longer Molly Tibbetts. It's a girl in Iowa. It's the same girl that got raped, or one of 200 women that got raped in Cologne 2 years ago on New Year's because they were immigrants that did it. And there's a complete blackout. Now, I am not ranting. I'm not going to go off on the immigrant thing. Okay, that's not what I'm here for. I am talking about the media reaction and how quickly they can bend and be folded on a worldwide scale from Cologne to Iowa. They are absolutely controlled. And this is incredibly scary when you start looking at all of these ratings and the people that are involved, and people like the largest, the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, and the Washington Post, and the network he owns. And what is the association of that network with the NSA, the CIA? Phil's going to be talking a little bit later. I noticed he's going to be talking about some departments just kind of disappeared. Maybe they got absorbed into some of these companies. I know you're chomping at the bit, Phil, but I got to get through this. Please, I'll turn it over, I promise. And we're going to be talking a little bit about what we're being told to say from our Common Core education that everybody is pushing right now, all the way through to us adults, we're not allowed to. Right now, we're being, they're throwing it out, and I'm sure they're doing this. I mean, I'm sure some of these people just think this is the greatest thing in the world, but I'm sure that they're doing a lot of this just to see, they're testing the waters to see how far they can go with this groupthink experiment called New World Order, domination, complete control. And here's an example. We can't say vagina anymore. It's going to be called the front hole, according to transvestites. The front hole. I mean, come on. What I mean, I saw a banter.
Wait,
again.
was,
I did. I mean, Phil, I'm really going to have to power through on this. I will turn the reins over. I've got a lot more going, and then we'll get into it. I mean, we're going to go over every single one of these. We've got, another 90 minutes that we'll be able to do it. So bear with me. I know. I'm just throwing the stake out there, and we're going to get into it. So we're going to get into the front hole situation. And also, we're going to get into another disturbing case in Germany. So there's a little town called Offenburg, Germany, where a doctor was brutally murdered in broad daylight in front of his 10-year-old child. And nobody reports anything about it. And again, guess why? Because they're told not to. And I don't even have to tell you why. Somali refugee. Judge rules Twitter can be sued for falsely advertising free speech. We're going to get into that. That is good news. That is good news. Maybe some judges are coming to their senses because they are advertising free speech, and they're certainly not performing on that one. In fact, they're profiting off of grabbing all of your demographics and then shadow banning you, and it's certainly not free speech if anyone's been banned from Twitter for no reason. And then, of course, we will be getting into South Africa. And this is some very, very serious stuff. And the reason this one is serious is how quickly this happened. How absolutely quickly. This happened in a matter of minutes. Within 5 minutes, Reddit pushed a button and deleted all conversation about farm seizures in South Africa. All of it. I mean, all of it. How can that happen? I mean, are you joking? It's just like, well, here's something we don't want people to talk about. And this proves to you how quickly it can happen. And then finally, we're going to get into maybe the lighter side of things, folks. We're going to be talking about some lawsuits. Pomerantz law firm, we're going to go into their lawsuit, which is very interesting. Facebook has a number of class action. No, Facebook didn't get away. They're going to be on the hook this show. We're going to be talking about, I have the lawsuit in front of me, and we're going to be going through some of the things that this class action lawsuit alleges and what's very real about some of this stuff. And there's going to be a couple of different lawsuits we're going to be going over, Pomerantz lawsuit, and then also it does tie into the overinflated video ad metrics lawsuit that is coming out of California. And then we'll polish everything off with them reinstating the data firm that was suspended for misuse during the entire operation with the Trump dossier and how that worked out. And then, just as some flavor, we've got more misled advertisers with inflated audience figures and straight up fake numbers from Facebook. So that is that's a flavor of what we're going to be talking about. A lot of it has to do with Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube. We're going to be looking at some of our personal experiences with that. I know Phil's got a lot to say right now, and man, let's just go from the very top here. And thanks again, Phil, for coming on. Again, Phil is an editor and writer here at the Goldwater, where we're broadcasting from Manila. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning over here. And again, thank you, True. Also, I'm going to need to thank Revolution Radio. The reason that we got hooked up, the reason that we're together, is because we are very, very like-minded. We are not same-minded. We have the same ideas in mind. We can go about them different ways, through the airways, through the internet, through any way you want. But the bottom line is people should be able to say what they think, and there is such a thing as a First Amendment. And it shouldn't need that much defending. So Revolution Radio is, we don't get paid. Dr. True doesn't get paid. Redfoot's certainly not getting paid right now. Sorry about that. We'll be giving an update on Redfoot, Alex Studer, and we'll try to figure out what we can do better about getting more information. But the bottom line here is that please subscribe to the archives at Revolution Radio, or just give a donation. The bandwidth, the amount of time, the upkeep, the cost is it's dependent on you. So the archives are a great way of doing it, because if you miss a show or you come across somebody that you really like, it's all there at your fingertips. It's a whole library. It's incredible stuff. So yeah, please do that. Just wanted to make sure to plug Revolution Radio here, because just incredible people. So with that, let's fire off. Let's just go right to the heart of it here. Thanks again, Phil. Phil in Manila. Let's just talk about these trust ratings. I mean, what the hell?
Ha. Well, the first things first. I think it's very, very, very frightening that we're taking a cue from China's social currency, or excuse me, social credit plan. The social credit, you know, I saw another bit of leaked video where it's basically, you know, you got all these Chinese people bustling around. Above their heads is floating a little number, and you know, you're driving and you get pissed, and you have a road rage incident. Boom, your social credit score is lowered. You spend too much time watching pornography or playing video games. Boom, you lose points on your social credit score. And from what I heard, it was an opt-in kind of thing first. But of course, you know, most things like that you opt into, you know, eventually there's no exit door. And the fact that we would be emulating, you know, when it comes to repressive censorship, you know, communist regimes are pretty well known for, you know, controlling and rewriting history, and that's, you know, that is what we're seeing here. But to come right out and take a page from the authoritarian, you know, techno-fascist Chinese Communist Republic, that's pretty spooky stuff. That said, though, have you ever, tell me this, Burdock, do you ever get the feeling that maybe one day, you know, what the internet started as a DARPA project, right? Do you ever get the feeling maybe one day there's this spy and he's like, hey, you know, spying is real fun stuff and it's an important job, but it can be such a hassle. What if we invented this box and we put them in everybody's home and we just suggest people put everything in that box about themselves, what they like, what their hopes and dreams and fears, where they're going to be, who all they know and what they said to them. Total information awareness, you know, the TIA and the NSA's echelon, all this kind of stuff kept me up at nights when I was a high schooler. So yeah, it's really scary. I don't think people, you know, realize it's not just about censorship. You know, censorship is the issue here that we're talking about today, but this doesn't end with censorship. What's the line from Orwell? It ends with a boot, boot smashing the face of humanity forever.
It's
you know,
totally
the whole
invasive.
Yeah.
I mean, privacy. Man, we can go days on that one. I completely agree. I mean, because they are intertwined. I mean, all of this, they know who you are. That's how they get information on how to ban you, how to classify you. So certainly privacy is, yeah, you need to be classified before you're muted, or you need to be classified and sorted into a certain category, and they figure out what to do with you, where your traffic should go, who should see it, if anyone, or just throw you in a black hole. And the algorithms that they're using, created by humans, folks, created by humans, controlled by humans, are they're getting more complex, but you can't tell me that they're not saying, okay, well, we tried that with that person, but they complained, and then we did this, and they didn't seem to notice, so let's put all the people that behave like that or saying things like that into that group, and we'll run that one on that one. And, they're sorting us out right now. There is no equality. And these are the people that are claiming that that's what they want. They want everybody to have this harmonious, and that's wrong. No, that's wrong.
And they're leading us towards, like, literal thought control is the end game.
Yes.
By standardizing the information that we're able to receive. That's why in the past couple of years we've seen so much about the dangers. Hey, Burdock, have you heard how dangerous it is to get your information from non-approved sources? I heard that if you read WikiLeaks, you can go to jail. They said so on CNN, and they're real news, right? No, they literally, you remember that, right? They literally lied. Said, if you go to WikiLeaks, you're basically stealing government secrets, and you can go to jail. Wait, like literal scaremongering to keep the consumer. I mean, not to knock the Catholic Church, for instance, but it's kind of like how, for years there was only the Catholic Church and nobody read Latin except for the clerics. Everybody else is a layperson, so you just had to take their word for it.
Yeah.
Now the new the media, priests were the intercessors. Oh, you can't talk to Jesus. How about you talk to me, and I'll spread the message. It's the same right now. The media is spoon feeding us, truth trademark symbol, or what they pass for it, and just how scary it is that the term fake news, for instance, has become like a household word. But most people, unless they're, like you said, weirdos like us, tinfoil hat types, most people don't really get how dire this situation is. It's not a joke, and it's not, I wish that it wasn't as serious as it was, but this is this could be this could basically.
It's the beginning of something that's going to end very badly.
Yeah, it's cultish.
Yeah, and speaking of the scare tactics, I mean, look at what they did look at what they did, and they is identifiable. I'm talking about correct the records. I'm talking about we have their address or the address they were operating out of while they were doing this. We have the names of the people. We didn't dox them. Okay, we didn't do it. But they were correct the record, funded by George Soros, funded by Clinton, controlled by Clinton, basically just how much money do you need to discredit anybody that's saying anything bad about you? That's what their job is, and they hired hundreds of people to do this, and they put a team on 8chan, okay? And this is what these people are doing.
You got Share Blue, and
so
David Brock, Media Makers, and
for some of the folks that aren't, image boards are a way of getting away from free speech, and we happen to be the sister, or I don't know, kind of like offshoot sibling news division of 8chan. And 8chan's an image board, very popular, and you can go on there completely anonymously, say whatever you want. With the obvious common sense, like don't break the law type of thing. You can do and say whatever you need to, and we're not going to hassle you. You're in control of your own board, and just there you go. Have fun. Do what you need to, because that's what it's there for. That's what the internet was created for, and we're trying to preserve it. We refer to it as the last bastion of free speech. So, I mean, I don't know. Why should anybody be terribly afraid of that? People speaking their mind. I mean, we're not out going actively trying to recruit people into doing anything. It's, you're actually coming to us and doing your own thing. So, hey, we're just allowing it to happen. actually, we want it to happen, okay? It's really important. I think most people in the world would think that's a good thing. But here's what happened during the 2016 election, and when everything was getting heated up. They hired a bunch of people to come onto the network, and of course, when that happens, it's pretty easy to spot, even though it's anonymous. People can make certain mistakes. They can be really stupid
because there's
if you don't spend a little bit of
culture,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, if you don't spend a little bit of time learning how to use a network, then you're going to be, you know, it's something that you should learn how to use it before you use it, okay? So they hire all of these people to come in and pose as Nazis, okay? So that, yeah, even the Nazis, yeah, there are Nazis, they got upset, okay? Now, you have to be doing something really, really wrong, you know, when you're, you know, they're almost embarrassed, okay? So it was ridiculous. I mean, the ham-handed attempts. And I think that goes a lot to show that they can just throw money at this problem. They're not understanding the technology. They're not understanding. It's just easier for them to just, instead of, wouldn't it be just simpler to research it and sit down, whatever? I mean, because all of this stuff is occurring because they can't sit down next to somebody or in the same room with somebody and have a decent argument about what they think should happen in the world. No. They're going to just take complete control, and they're not going to bother with the American people. They're just going to take that control. And the people who are following along, who are in the group think, it's just easier not to think. It really is. It's just, let's just not think anymore, because our mind has already been made up. We've already been told what's right. We don't have to worry about it anymore. And as long as you don't stray off the path too much, you'll have a job, you won't be threatened, you won't get fired. But if you do, and you live in Silicon Valley, your job is in jeopardy. You will get fired, you won't get promoted if you don't think like they do. And the internet is being created. They're attempting to create the internet to change the internet in their image. That's what they want. That's exactly what they want. And this is terrifying, because that's how people talk. How can we, I mean, you can't really do much these days with that. Can you imagine? All your senses are cut off, and these people control it. It's insane, Phil. Absolutely insane. So you got that. You got Visa, MasterCard, the trust issue. I mean, I know you've got a couple of things. I'm going to run just really quickly.
Oh, speaking of Visa, MasterCard, and censorship, you remember what happened to my PayPal account, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now,
what is that?
If you read through
I didn't
the
believe
PayPal,
you. I'm like, no, you had to do something else.
At no point does it say, oh, and by the way, do not write marketing materials and essays and informative articles about this particular Southeast Asian legal herbal medicinal plant. Kratom.
Yeah.
Now I understand, you know, nootropics and certain supplements, they're considered high risk commodities because the potential for chargeback and yada yada yada. I can get it if I was selling kratom or some other, you know, selling paracetam or whatever. I can get that. Yeah. I had to look into all this. What do you call it? High risk processing. But yeah, no, there is nowhere within the PayPal terms of service that says, you know, don't write about kratom. So I was given no warning. And that being said, yes, PayPal has, and you know, you mentioned David Horowitz. This is nothing new. The Barnes Review and American Free Press have not been able to process cards for a few years now, and that's, you know, that's one way that they try and, you know, choke us off there, because, you know, you got to make a living, you got to get paid. So if they take away your means to get paid, and that's exactly what PayPal and other folks, you know, like I said, Visa and these card processors, it's nefarious. You've read Revelations, right? The bit about you can't buy or sell without this chip, you know? Yeah. I mean, we're about heading into that kind of a general situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you don't have their approval, if you don't have the right code that they, and you get a green light and the right score, the right color of light, I should say, man, somebody, the only way that I can see this happening is that you need to pit them against each other. Now, one small example of this, which I thought was amusing, was, well, gee, the transvestites are insisting that Twitter shut down a lesbian group for hate speech. And so now we've got the transvestites, versus the lesbians. They used to be all in one big, long acronym. Remember when we did that show? I don't know if that was
LGBTQPI.
Yeah, I went on for like the,
sexual and asexual and
right. Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know. There was they're starting to repeat all the letters. The thing's like 14, 15 characters long.
You know why the tech field? It's not because it's not a lucrative career. It's because as soon as you've memorized whatever it is your job, they've changed it again. And I don't want it to be that way with my pronouns and my grammar and just basic, like, so how many genders are there?
Well, the point here is that that acronym is actually going to start separating it, and it's going to start breaking apart. And hopefully, I mean, this is how I think it's the only hope that we have is that people will go to such extremes, because now it's not, there's the extreme thing. So it's not good enough to be progressive now. You're going to have to go one better. I'm going to come out of the closet and say that I'm a socialist. Yay. Okay, great. Now, I mean, or a communist, or, I mean, can you imagine that way back when? And people are actually running on those tickets now, which is kind of insane. It's like, what, do you understand that we're not a socialist nation? Do you understand that? Well, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have any understanding of the founding fathers' intentions for this nation, or the Constitution, or any of the laws, or any of the moral fiber of this nation. I mean, let's just go ahead and run it. I'm a socialist. Okay. All right, fine. I mean, I thought Bernie Sanders was great. I mean, he was funny, and I mean, it's great. Who wouldn't vote for Bernie Sanders? I mean, if he didn't, if we had unlimited money, I think that's great. I mean, Bernie would be a great Santa Claus. I mean, he would be awesome. I mean, if there was just an unlimited supply of money, I'd vote for Bernie Sanders. I mean, because really all your problems would be solved, and he could just give it away because everybody would have so much. The problem is that the understanding that, hey, if everybody had all the money and everything that they needed, nobody would work. I mean, maybe some people would. I know I'd probably continue to do this job, but that would be, so it's a fairy tale world. And when you take that, like the idea of socialism, and put it and say, gee, Venezuela, even though you have all these natural resources, the point I'm making here is that, like, they're shooting zoo animals down there to eat. Okay, folks, that's not a good thing. That's what these people want in the United States, and that's really scary, because it's like, okay, maybe I could understand them if there was some form of good intention, something that, like, these people had. Maybe they were going after lower IQ people to better themselves in some way. But it doesn't seem like any of these people who were taking the control and doing the censorship that we're talking about right now have our best interests even remotely near their mind. There's certainly something way different going on here. And it is very, very sinister. And there are items such as, from the Revelation, having the mark of the beast in order to buy, goods and services. This is real. This is real. We can't use YouTube unless we avoid saying certain things. And that's a fact right now. That's a fact. And in fact, actually, they'll just do it. They'll just shut you off for no reason. And anyone that's listened to our show over here, we go over that. I mean, we rant about it a little bit, but it's more just like, I think it's just an educational experience, because it's something that we can talk about it. But once it happens to you, and you realize just on a whim how quickly this happens. And let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk a little bit about Alex Jones. I know when we were doing the show for Macau and that happened, you and I locked horns a little bit. But if we could be just about not what the person is saying, but the fact that, just like a David Horowitz from Visa and MasterCard, here's a guy who, a lot of people don't like him. We agree on that. I mean, hey, but let's talk about the people that are the tens of thousands of people that aren't being talked about, that they took the opportunity to block. So what their modus operandi is to grab somebody who's in contention, who says something really bad, and they've got a whole list of people that don't meet their criteria that they want to ban, okay? Now, when people start behaving this way, especially companies, monopolistic companies, this is backhanded, underhanded, sneaky behavior. They know it's wrong. They know what they're doing is wrong. Otherwise, you'd just be upfront about it. But what they do is they grab somebody, wait for somebody to say something, somebody says the N-word, and boom, you grab them, ban them, and then everybody else all at the same time. And everybody's talking about this horrible thing, and these other people, we got caught up in it. And I mean, who's going to know that the Goldwater got banned from YouTube? Not that many people, to be honest. But it's significant because we're growing and they don't like that. So this is the truth. There are tens of thousands of people below it, and they're doing it week after week after week. And they're pressing these buttons and they're saying, we don't like that, we don't like that, we don't like that. And they're not stopping. They're not stopping. And yeah, I think that we definitely need to get in the conversation on another show as to what end. What is their end purpose? What is their goal? I have an idea, but we're talking about their methods right now. And for people to say that the press and the internet companies, social media networks, including the people that are leasing fiber, what business does somebody have, in your opinion, when their sole job is to maintain cables that are made out of glass strands and ensure that light is shot from one end to the other? Why should they care about your opinion? Apparently they do now. Why should Visa and MasterCard care about your opinion? I mean, they're there to process credit cards. Why should Amazon, why should Starbucks be in the position of becoming some sort of moral authority? Sell coffee, for Christ's sakes, All of these people seem to be just pooling together. And, really terrible stuff. I think
now, did I?
Your mic is, that's much better.
Yeah. Oh, so I think I shared a link with you yesterday. So I've been noticing just an increasing amount of just weirdness via my social media channels, and hearing a lot of complaints from friends too. And by the way, I try and steer clear of echo chambers. I've got friends that run the gamut from, far left and progressive, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, ultra right-wing, fascist, whatever, I'm interested in hearing from the horse's mouth, this or that and what people believe. But it doesn't matter. That's the weird thing. Everyone thinks it's just them right now. I noticed, what is it? Telesur and some Venezuelan state media went dark on Facebook a few days ago. Let's see, there's also, it was 2012. You had the guy release, here, hold on, I got it in my notes here, release some something about the Benghazi thing. It's 2012. It's an election year. And have you noticed that this is it's sort of like portable glomarization. You know, like the glomar, I can neither confirm nor deny. With Facebook, it's, oh, I'm sorry, that's a mistake. Our algorithm did that. You know, it's, you know, they don't have to take, but the thing is, these accidents seem to be very, very specific. So, you know, this guy tried to post a Benghazi meme at Facebook right before the 2012 election, and he's, you know, here, hold on, let me find it.
Yeah, they're lying is what they're doing. When they say that they're doing it because of spam or whatever,
oh, it's the automated spam filter and it just picked up. No, because when the guy tried to post it again, then they shut down his account for 24 days. Then afterwards, it's, oh, I'm sorry, how did this happen? Yeah, here, hold on just a second. I found this at blogs.harvard.edu, an article by Jean-Luc Richet. So they're doing sentiment analysis. Now this is, and once I said this, as I was saying, this is 4 years ago, which in tech terms is, you know, decades, right? So 4 years ago, they were already running sentiment analysis to pick up what, you know, what should and what shouldn't be said. It's Larry Ward. I can't, here we go. The Special Operations Speaks Political Action Committee, Larry Ward. So he posted this thing, and they take down the meme. He posted again. They shut down his account. Of course, 24 hours later, oh whoops, that was an accident. But yeah, so it's not just conservatives though. You remember what was it? The monsters are due on Mulberry Street. I sometimes, yes, I'm paranoid. I get it. No, I sometimes feel like it's part of the end game to make people more polarized and, you know, mistrust each other. Everybody feels like Big Brother or the, you know, the bad guys are, you know, this monolithic figure that's against them because, you know, I'm on the good guys team. But really, honestly, I think, you know, there's sort of a middle of the road corporatist agenda on the left and on the right. It's not about the left-right dichotomy. It's about agenda or not agenda, whether it's left or right. Speaking of which, here's another thing I don't think I mentioned. Facebook accidentally, it was just a little video about socialism and communism and how it's failed and responsible for all these deaths. There are no by the way, there are no graphic pictures of dead people. There's no blood. There's no, you know, killing fields of Cambodia. And even so, I wouldn't consider that worthy of completely blacking out the video. So it's a video about communism and socialism, and Facebook blacked out, warning you that it may have graphic or violent content. You click on it. Nope, no graphic. Well, they said may. They didn't say it did. Yeah, they said it may. And then afterwards, oh, sorry, that was an accident.
Yeah, no, we'll just flag it and sorry, yeah, that was an accident. It's all over the place. I mean, you see it in like this, you know, just the advanced version of Grammarly, you know, that we run. There's a paid version, and it suggests different things when you're doing some edits. And there's, like, I saw this. I think I turned it off. But this just, oh man, I just got so irked when I saw this. Somebody's writing an article about a gay person, and there's the word homosexual, okay? And it gets flagged, the word homosexual, not because it was misspelled or anything. It pops up and it says it's an outdated term. What? What now? What should we be using? Tell us what now we have to say it. You know, we can't. You know, so they're
kind of
really,
like how
they're edging us.
Say Negro anymore, and it's not colored people; it's people of color. Wait. Really? In you know.
What happens if you're quoting someone? Okay, I mean, this is so insane.
How much of a difference is that inversion in the and adding the of in there? Yeah. That really like it was offensive before and now it's unoffensive.
Yeah.
Or the word queer, for instance, used to be that was slur term, and now it's the proper term. I hope it was yesterday, but I don't check it every hour like I should.
Yeah, I mean, they got to check the algorithm and make sure that that's running okay, and we get updated, you know, and we're just going to get updated, upgraded, and hopefully, you know, we all comply. Otherwise, we don't have access to the system anymore. So we got to turn this thing on itself, and I think it will, because it's the direction it's going is so crazy. It's this just god awful experiment. I mean, I wake up and I think, man, this is really going on. I'm not. This isn't, you know, to say Rachel Maddow, this is not a dream. This is real. I mean, that's how I feel sometimes with I mean, looking at her, like, oh my God, she's fueling all of this. She's part of this. You know, all of the main, and I'm including Fox News in this. I mean, we'll get into that later. I mean, this is just, it's nuts. And the only hope I think that we've got is that just these little glimmers of hope, just the lesbians going against the transvestites. You know, you're going to have these wars, and then pretty soon there's going to be the big one.
Yeah, it's and that snake devouring its own tail. By the way, they're called TERFs. TERF is the term. Trans exclusionary radical feminists are the ones who, and oh my gosh, they are kind of crazy, saying something about how a transgender woman, even after they have been, neutralized? No, it wasn't neutralized. It was something along the lines of like unarmed. Mm-hmm. Like basically the conceit here is that, you know, you're dangerous if you have an excess of testosterone in boy parts, but even getting rid of the boy parts and dampening, altering the hormone roots, still, you know, you're still a man. You're still an evil man under there. In that, what do you call it? The stink of that original sin. Just, you know, no amount of surgeries and identifying works for some of they're called TERFs. For the TERFs, yeah, there is no such thing as a transgender woman. And like you said, it is kind of funny that, you know, this a lot of people like to think that the left and the right is this monolithic thing. That's the reason why I don't like echo chambers, because I learned so much more seeing, you know, what all these crazy people do believe from here, there, and everywhere in between.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about it. I had to do this, the turf war. Okay, I got that over with. Yeah, crazy, some of these thoughts.
How did I know you?
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. It was needed. Well, yeah. We're going to be wrapping up the first hour here, and man, lots more to come. We're going to be going and get into Reddit and South Africa. A lot of this is really crazy. We're also going to be talking about the class action lawsuit with Facebook. We'll go through that and see what happens. It should be fun stuff. The couple of things also, again, we're talking about censorship. Please support folks like Revolution Radio and the people that are coming on here, spending their time. Phil and I aren't paid to do this. Dr. True isn't paid. Alex isn't paid, and all the other great people you hear on Revolution Radio are not paid to do this. But bandwidth costs money, servers cost money, and so if you could just subscribe to the archives, if you would, and so that will be a real help to all the people to keep the show alive, and make sure that everybody is able to wake up tomorrow and tune in again. So please make a donation or subscribe to the archives. That's a great way to do it. From that, we're going to be it's going to be an exciting next hour. I also got word from True that he will be off next week as well. So we're going to be putting together, maybe what we should be doing is putting together a show as to, a segue to this one, so that we can continue this on this such a huge topic that maybe we can segue into the actual beyond the censorship itself and get a little bit deeper into some of the reasoning and some of the people involved, and what are they wanting to do? What is the end game here? So we'll try to scope that out. Maybe we'll just we'll go in that direction and see what's happening. I've got a separate channel that I created over here for this show, and the links on this are just endless, endless. So maybe what we'll do is we'll get into the legal stuff to start with, and I think that a lot of people should be concerned about this, because I'm not really a big fan of people, government coming in and messing with business and breaking up things. But you got a real monopoly here. You got a real antitrust thing, and then not only that, but what are the intentions behind it? So we'll be talking about a little bit of that, but the censorship obviously being first and foremost. You can't have that without talking about some of the really bad things these other people are doing. So they're lying to you folks. They're lying when they say, hey, listen, that was just spam. Then that's just an algorithm. And everybody just thinks, they're just told over and over, well, we're not in control of that. We don't have anything. It's the computer that did it. We don't have any responsibility here. That is absolute nonsense. People create these things. Machines can be turned off, people. Programs can be terminated. You can physically go and unplug a server. Okay, you can shut a whole rack down. So please don't tell me that you're not in control. That type of thinking is extremely dangerous, because that's when all of these little boxes and things with cute little names like Alexa are going to start. You're not going to tell them. They're going to start telling you what to do. So we'll be getting into the legal problems that Facebook and Twitter and Reddit and all of these people might have down the road here in a bit. Phil, I want to thank you for joining us. I'm assuming you're in for the long haul, buddy.
All right, yeah.
We're going to be plowing through the second hour here, and we'll be also getting into an update. I don't have much, unfortunately. But I will be talking again with Dom and True over the weekend here, and we'll see what we can find out. We'll all put our heads together and see, exchange information, what little we can get from Alex here in a boat. So we'll see you in just a moment. Godspeed. We'll be right back. Friday evening, folks. Good Friday evening over in the United States of America. This is Major Burdock reporting from Manila. It is Saturday morning over here, and Dr. True asked me to step in. Thank you, Dr. True. It's a real honor. Some of you might have heard me in the background on and off for the last year or so, speaking with True about some really important things, and one of the reasons that we got together and that we're getting along so well, and because we've got these concerns, these interests, and one of them certainly is censorship. A big, huge topic, big, fat one. We're just trying to plow through what's going on the internet side. That's what we do over here. We run a network called 8chan, and then we also the news division. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Goldwater, and we're certainly experiencing a little issue here. So we'll be checking a number of these things out, and wow. Last hour, we, if you didn't catch it, just to recap, we're going through Facebook and Twitter and a number of different things, and oh my, do we have, we're going to delve into some of the legal problems that Facebook has, and also we're going to see, we're just going to let this thing go off the rails after we're done taking care of business here with Facebook and the legalese, because what better person to join me when things need to go off the rails. We've got Phil joining us, who is an editor and writer here at the Goldwater. He's also in Manila. Hello, Phil. Thanks again for coming on. I think Phil is, wow. Well, so we'll wait for Phil to come back on. In the meantime, let's go over this lawsuit. I've got the official one in front of me, and this is from the firm that they've filed a number of lawsuits, class action suits, and so this is Pomerantz LLP, and I'm just going to go ahead and read this because it's important to get the terms straight, to get all of this straight. The Pomerantz LLC is a class action lawsuit filed in the United States District Court of Northern California. Interesting. It's great that this is filed in California because that's where they live. Okay, Sunnyvale to be precise. But and it's docketed under 18 CV 0765. That's 18 CV 0675. If you guys just type that in under dockets in United States District Court, Northern California, Northern District, you'll get a copy of the class action lawsuit that I'm talking about. It was filed on April 26th, but this is being shuffled through court right now. And it's important because this has to do with shareholders, and it has to do with why would this is the question, okay? Because this lawsuit is being filed on behalf of shareholders, and we're going to go through a couple of other lawsuits. One that's filed on behalf of an advertiser, and that's a class action lawsuit that's involving everyone who did advertising over a certain period of time while they were giving false numbers. So, but this particular case involves the shareholders, and they're suing because Facebook is lying to them about their numbers. Now let's step back for a second. Why should this lawsuit even exist? Facebook, obviously, they've got a lock on the market. They really have a captive audience. They're known by name. You know, who is even close to competing with them? I mean, in certain ways, yeah, there's some other things that are sprouting out, but let's face it, there's no reason that this company should be in peril. The economy is doing, I mean, the economy is great, no problem. And, you know, what's the issue? Why do you have to lie and cheat and steal? Why do you have to behave this way? And we're going to explore this. I mean, really think about it. Why would you risk behaving this way? What is going on over there? And I think we'll get to some of the answers here. So, yeah, I'm showing that that Phil is hooked up. Maybe he's just got a problem with his mic.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay. So the lawsuit here is that the defendants made materially false and misleading statements regarding the company's business operational compliance policies. Specifically, defendants made false and or misleading statements and or false to disclose that the number of daily and monthly active Facebook users was declining due to unfavorable currency conditions and plans to promote and grow features of Facebook's social media platform with historically lower levels of monetization, such as stories. Facebook anticipated its revenue growth to slow and its operating margins to fall. And as a result, Facebook's public statements were materially false and misleading at all relevant times. Now, that's just okay. What did that mean? Why is that? What was going on there? I'll tell you why. The numbers from the get-go were false. They were made up, and they allowed people to create false Facebook accounts. They created bots on them. They allowed the bots to continue to grow. And why? Because they could tell their advertisers that there were more people viewing, therefore they could charge more money. Now that it's time for them to remove these people, or these bots, or these fake accounts, I mean, there's tons of people who have Facebook accounts for their dog, okay? Their dog isn't going to buy a trip to Hawaii. So now that all of this is coming out, they're going to have to balance it down. They're getting caught in lie after lie after lie from the get-go, and this company was not honest from the start. They weren't honest. Nobody knew who owned Facebook from the start. And Zuckerberg came on top. And now that he's the man and he's got everybody paid off and he's a super billionaire, and his Chinese wife might have some influence on some of this stuff, you got to think about it a little bit. Okay, we were talking about those points there. Yeah, kind of scary. What's happening with this? Why are these people mismanaging this company in such a horrific way? It's because of the groupthink. These people honestly have been in a bubble. And they honestly don't have any sense of culpability. They believe that they're so wealthy they can get away with anything, and they control the internet. So you want to chime in on that, Phil? Am I too far off base here?
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, that's definitely what's going. Like I said, the whole standardization of society. For right now, though, yeah, like I said, there still appears to be some diversity of thought. But whether you're on the left-hand side or the right side, there's definitely there's a shepherd's crook kind of minding the way, you know. And so yeah, there's the agenda has to be sold through thought control. You know, it's this whole the total information awareness, and like I said, the NSA echelon, and you know what, apart from pornography and Amazon, what is the internet for? You know, it's an incredibly powerful tool that's not only a great way to spy on us, but television, you know, back to your regularly scheduled programming, has nothing. Television has nothing on the internet and the social media buffer system as far as training people and controlling what they think.
Yeah, I mean it's no comparison whatsoever. It goes back and forth, and you know, I wanted to get back to what I had mentioned before in the company that Facebook, we're just going to hang on them for a bit. You remember the entire Cambridge Analytica situation where we didn't know which way that was going. It turns out Facebook had hired these people with Hillary, and so the people that were providing data for Facebook through Cambridge Analytica, Facebook just yesterday, they had suspended these people, and Facebook just yesterday said, "Oh, it's okay. You can, you know, business as usual.
Yeah, that's
There is
right.
no
Yeah.
culpability. You know, these people are like, and this is going all over the place.
By the way, I feel that Cambridge Analytica, Fusion GPS, there are these strategic forecasting is another one of the shadowy figures in the corner. Most people, you know, don't give a second thought to these entities, but they're shaping us. They're shaping it. They're watching us and they're shaping us. It's all cybernetic, you know.
Yeah.
They figure out. What is it like? Isaac Asimov's psychohistory called it. Like you can't tell what a single hydrogen molecule is going to do, but you can pretty much figure out what the body of vapor, how it will react. Well, and that's pretty much what they're doing with us. We're individual molecules. We're being plugged into the system. Social media, it's an input-output system, and yes, it's they're studying us and seeing what gets a rise, and then it's back to the drug. I really do honestly believe it's in a lot of ways it's like a science experiment. There's a reason why guys that were involved in programming. Remember the guy came out saying Facebook, how it. They'd hacked biology, right. Making sure that you get this dopamine buzz, dopamine rush. Right. Okay, why do we have all these, overweight, obese, ill people? It's because candy has jacked our psychology and our physiology. We're cavemen, right? And we taste something sweet, and that's,
we're going to spin back back to Facebook. The name of this outfit is called Crimson Hexagon. Have you heard of these guys? Mm-hmm. That kind of sounds sinister, doesn't it? Crimson Hexagon. Yeah, let's introduce the folks.
Whatever.
Yeah, this is the company I was just talking about that they just got fired back up on Facebook, and they were the direct pipeline to analytics. So Cambridge Analytica. So here we go.
You're connected to Blackwater.
Crimson Hexagon is a Boston data analytics company. All right. And they just got back onto Facebook, and Instagram reinstated them as well after they were suspended and then investigated by who other than Instagram and Facebook. Okay. For surveillance reasons, okay? These were the guys, remember, the security people that were really, really getting into it? Okay, the reinstatement, which began earlier this month, followed several weeks of constructive discussion and informative exchange, said Dan Shore, Crimson Chief Financial Officer. But the company didn't specify the results of the inquiry or explain why access was restored. Okay, this is insane. Crimson boasts having gathered the largest public repository of social media data ever, which it's used to work for clients that include Adidas, Anheuser-Busch, as well as the Department of Homeland Security, the State Department, and clients in Turkey, Russia. Russia, nonprofit with ties to the Kremlin. Okay. Turkey is a really interesting story as far as this is concerned because if we have time, we can go into that. I met a guy that ran cable for the palace over there, and which is the largest palace in the world. But what's going on underground and the facility, which is a mass surveillance, what would be described as one of the most complex, state-of-the-art, under one roof surveillance facilities outside of what they might have in Utah with the NSA. But this is all piped into every single thing in the entire country, right down to traffic cams and body cams and all of it. Craziness. So these are the guys that are analyzing all this data. And these are the guys that, Facebook just popped right back in and said, okay, yeah, we need, it's okay. Slap on the wrist. Somebody caught you doing something. There is no policing, okay? Nobody is policing these people. It's just we're at right when, you know, Snowden was saying, hey, these guys, they did it once. And because they might have had good intentions, they needed to stop a criminal. They wanted to tap into somebody's phone or their camera or, you know, their laptop, a microphone, something. And they did it, and they know how to do it. And, you know, it's faster than getting a warrant. And then, well, gee, wouldn't it be easier just to do it for everyone? And that's when everything went way off the rails. So what's going on with this is that they are using these apparati so they can classify you and make sure that what you're saying doesn't get to the rest of the other people. It's not a matter of just saying, okay, well, we can't just cut them off. So what we're going to be talking about right now is what they call shadow banning, which is, yeah, you know, they're going to say, all right, well, it's going to look like you're talking to the world, to you, but nobody's there, you know, and they think that, you know, they're real clever about this. One thing that I do need to do, and let me just, let's talk, I mean, have you been shadow banned? Have you been?
I have been in the past. Generally when I check, I'm not. But I get other weird issues, like I'm not able to retweet or like certain statuses. Right. I'll click and it lights up, and then and here's the thing: if you're not actually paying attention, you know, you won't notice that. That's not saying blah, blah, blah is posted. It looks the same. It just says didn't post.
Yeah. Well, for those of you that use Twitter, and if you're near a machine right now, I got a couple of sites for you. Here's the first one. It's shadowban.eu. Just shadowban.eu. And real simple thing. I don't have a problem referring to these folks here. Nothing bad's going to happen to your machine on this. Okay. And all you do is type in your Twitter handle there and just check. And out of curiosity, it'd be interesting. I mean, here, let me. What is ours anyway? The Goldwater US?
I think it's _US.
Okay. They found us. And here we go. I think I've got the wrong account here. Well, we'll have to do this when I've got the right account here. Yeah, shadow bans that's what they are. So they're going to make you think that everything's okay, everything's hunky-dory, but everything's going into a black hole. And, you know, it's just another way of lying. You know, it's lying, okay? What kind of person does something like that? You know, that's just crazy. That's like flipping off a blind person, okay?
Right.
You know, that's really what it would be. Or, you know, exposing yourself to a blind woman, okay? I mean, come on. So that's the whole thing. I think it's just part of it has to do with this first generation coming out of this Common Core, super liberal groupthink. Let's all be in one world, one happiness, new world order type of thing, and we don't offend everybody. We just need to be together, and you know, anything that offends us, if you know, we want to tear down a statue, we'll do it as long as everybody does it together. And it really is a mob mentality that's masquerading as a bunch of just people that want to save the world. But in truth, I don't think that a lot of these people that are putting on black masks and going out, and the hardcore enforcer factions that are in Seattle and Portland and running around in, you know, black suits and beating people up who they really don't know. I mean, why they're beating them up or who they are. Throwing feces. I mean, that's the
because they're Nazis, Burdock.
What's that?
Because it's because they're Nazis, Burdock. CNN told me they were Nazis.
No, wait a minute. I thought I was a Nazi.
Not a speech advocate. I'm a Nazi. At least that's what I've been told.
Well, that's what people tell me. I don't know. I guess I have to look that up. I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the funny part is that you're called everything because they just, they really don't care what it is. They don't care if it sticks as long as it's thrown at you enough that, oh, well, he's a Nazi, he's a whatever, misogynist, and that's the whole thing. You don't have to think, and that's where they're going to just shut you down. And I think they're threatened because you actually have something, and most of us have something to say. But even the people that don't, okay? I mean, even the people who are spouting absolute lunacy need to be heard if anyone wants to listen to them. Now, here's the big question, all right? All of this is a big, big thing. Why are we in this mess? Why is Facebook? Why is Twitter? Why are any of these companies in this mess, Google included? Because they could have done the same thing that they do with pornography. They could have, okay, online. I mean, pornography needs to be kept away from children, obviously. I think everybody agrees on that. And there's there is a sensible way that they can do it. Obviously, kids will be kids. They're going to do what they need to get around anything. But hey, that's not their problem. Shouldn't be a company's problem. But what you do is you create filters that you opt in. It's an option. It's an option for everyone. Okay, you got your network, and then you got your filters. And the people who are super, super offended by everything should say, hey, this filter is for me because I can customize it because I don't want to listen to Nazis, and this is what I think a Nazi is, and I want that in place. Okay, but that's what they should be doing. But instead, they're taking on the entire world. Okay, and it's the complete opposite. It's the inverse of what they should be doing. What a rationally thinking company would do would place filters for the people who are offended. Not offend everybody, not assume that the people that they don't agree with are the offensive ones and ban them and just eradicate them from the entire network or the world, in their world, which is what they're trying to create, their perfect image of the world, which really is kind of a self-serving thing. Anyone with the ego to go forward and do such a thing, you probably shouldn't have them in power because they're going to be a little bit dangerous. They're not really thinking about you. Okay? I don't have a problem with somebody with an ego that is serving a greater purpose, but we don't know what that is, aside from self-serving. And I think maybe next week we can delve a little bit deeper into that because that can get into some really, really scary things. I mean, just here, under the idea that they are making a better society by censoring us, they are promoting concepts and initiating ideas of point systems. And a lot of this is really, and Phil, you mentioned it first, I mean, Revelations, can't buy or sell goods without that mark, 666. So
whether or not you believe in Revelations, damn, seeing as the plan's already out there and been memed into the collective consciousness, somebody's gonna do it.
Yeah. I mean, oh man, rough stuff. All right, well, let's take a look at how quickly. Oh man, this was just terrible. Just how it was disheartening to see how quickly something comes up that they don't want people to talk about.
No, this has been going on for quite a while. I mean, my mind is blown that anybody's even that it has been pushed into the Overton window.
Well, the only thing that, I mean, yeah, it has been, but the only thing that's significant is that it's now officially endorsed. And they're finally coming out and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. We're just flat out, if you're white, you got something that we want, we're going to take it. I mean, with land, okay? And I mean, what is that going to tell everybody else who doesn't have the, who isn't first in line to rush that land and take it? That's going to give the idea that, well, gee, if you're white and you got something that we want, we're going to take it. Which actually, after about 11 o'clock in the Tenderloin, it's not much different. Okay, in San Francisco. Actually, I mean, even during the day over there. So this isn't good. I mean, South Africa's got it. It's got its issues, but I think we could all agree that maybe that's a little harsh. That's a little wrong, and
right.
Especially considering the fact that if you don't let us take it, we're going to kill you. The old, added bonus of killing people before or after you take their stuff. Isn't that theft? Isn't that robbery? Isn't that something? Isn't there something wrong? Isn't there something in the Bible about that? Isn't there stealing and killing, that kind of thing?
And a lot of people, well, didn't South Africa have the apartheid? Here's the thing. What a lot of people don't realize is the whole killing white farmers. This goes back to Nobel Peace Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was his wife invented that trick where you put the flaming tire around somebody's neck?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean it's nuts. I mean, a lot of these folks that are celebrating, they're just jacked up, put in this spotlight, and wow, how did they get there? How did they get there? How did Clintons get to the White House? Well, gee, I mean, brokering cocaine through the CIA. Did that ring any bells?
Me.
Killing kids that might have been near the fence line. How about that? I mean, come on. But this is insane. I mean, how quickly this happened. They hit a button and just all of it was gone. All of it. And people on Reddit were able to see it all at once. And somebody reported it. So this is what South Africa is saying is that, and all of this had to do with right after Donald Trump tweeted out, he said, I've asked Secretary of State Pompeo to closely study the South African land and farm seizures and expropriations and the large-scale killings of farmers. South African government is now seizing land from white farmers. Okay. I mean, obviously, if you're a world leader and you see something like that, that is certainly something that should be troubling for anyone.
Say something, right.
I mean, South Africa is a civilized society with an economy, with airports, with an industry. I mean, they've got tremendous mining. They've got huge natural resources other than that. But, I mean, what's going on there? I mean, that's a major concern. So we can't talk about it on Reddit. We can't talk about it on Twitter or Facebook because nobody's supposed to say that this is going on. Why would they, they didn't even bother to come out and say that. Normally before they do that, they say that it's a debunked conspiracy theory, right? That's always in the playbook. They come first and they say, oh, well, this is debunked. What you're saying is wrong, and then not only that, it's been proven wrong, and it's a conspiracy theory, and now we can shut you off. They didn't even bother doing that. They just said, nope, you can't talk about this. No talking about South Africa. No talking about blacks killing whites. Can't do it. Well, we're going to be talking about that a little bit today, right now. I've been asked, we did a little bit of a show. We touched on this on our own show here in Manila. What we call Nothing to Declare is the name of the show, and Phil is a co-host on that show as well. But Jim Cherney, who is the owner of all of these blessed things, and just an incredible man, suggested, hey, why don't we set up a little crowdfunding for the white South Africans that are going to be displaced off their land. I think, and you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to send out a press release on that, because if people are banning talking about this and it's happening, you can bet that's our job to be talking about it. We're going to find out more, and hopefully, we're gonna see if who needs help over there. Because certainly, if we can't even talk about these people, that means something bad, that something nobody wants us to be talking about is going on. You can certainly smell something bad going on here. So
and that's shine the light.
Yeah. So we're gonna rig that up. Hopefully, we'll get that going next week, and I hope people get mad that we're doing that and call us racist for wanting to help people that are. Can you imagine? I mean, what's wrong with, you've got your land and you're doing fine and you got a little farm and a bunch of people, white or black, doesn't matter, come on and, force you off, maybe kill your family, and maybe you need to get out of the country now. I don't see anything wrong with that, no matter what color you are, what country you live in, helping those people out, because I think that's wrong. I really do. I don't think anyone in this world would think that doing something that is like that is, how can you justify that? And who are the blacks that decide who's going to end up with it? Is this going to go to the government, or are we going to look at land registries and figure out who was camping nearby, 500 years ago or 1,500 years ago? And what language is that in? I mean, not much literacy going on back then. Not many records going on back then. I mean, what would happen if the Native Americans in the United States decided to do that? How about that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Phil. What do you think? Native Americans decide to do what black South Africans are doing. What do you think? Possible? What would happen? Where would they start?
That's about as likely as when China decides it wants to take up the Palestinian cause and oust the Zionists from Jerusalem. I don't see it happening this week. Possibly next week.
Actually, on a side note, Palestine, we just stopped $200 million going there, which it's like, oh man, that's going to stir something up. But I do question. I mean, I would think if you're going to pull $200 million, do the same $200 million across the board from Israel as well, but make sure that I would say give them the $200 million, but do it. So that you're actually getting something from them, like, I don't know, maybe intelligence. Mossad's got a lot of stuff that we might need. If they want $200 million that we were going to give to Palestine, okay, and maybe we certainly give more than $200 million to Israel, have them pay for it with something. We need a good or service. I mean, I would say, how about we own Mossad? How about that? How about we buy Mossad?
They take our military secrets that we share with them for free and sell them to China. To China.
Yeah, there's.
I mean, this has happened multiple times.
Scary stuff. So, I guess it's your contention that Native Americans aren't going to start going hog wild.
No, I
no bows and arrows.
For whatever
no war paint.
Yeah. For whatever reason, the Arabs, the Southerners, and the Asians don't seem to be as interested as some of the other displaced, dispossessed, and oppressed peoples in making a stir. And everybody knows it's the squeaky wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got an idea. How about everybody just calm down? Okay, and look at a map and say, hey, listen, it's not perfect, but this is what it's going to have to be. All right, do the best with what you got. These are your borders. This is your country. Try to take care of yourselves. Okay, we'll see you later. No more help until you start.
Wasn't that called the Monroe Doctrine? I liked the Monroe Doctrine.
There you go. I would say anybody that, I don't know. I got some issues with people that it just seems like you got a lot of folks that are causing trouble. And really kind of like, okay, great, Holy Land. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'm offending a lot of people by saying that, but in a realistic sense, okay, in a very realistic sense, what are the natural resources that we're talking about in the Gaza Strip and Jerusalem? I mean, but we're talking about the Holy Land. We're talking about this and that. That is, you know, can't you just chill? Just chill out for 100 years, okay? Mellow out. Stop the rockets.
You can't play nice in the sandbox. Nobody gets to play.
Yeah, no kidding. Right. So, I mean, otherwise we're going to start lighting that place up. Okay. I mean, what other options, you know, do you have there? I mean, you know, you have to just pummel into submission, or just say, hey, listen, you know, start behaving like an adult, and we'll treat you like one. So, yeah, and this all, I don't know. So yeah, it's getting crazy. But one thing, I mean, that I think is kind of fun to talk about. It's more on the amusing side of things. And I know I keep bringing it up because this is just one of the things that I can't get over, having seen this here in Manila. Is, I mean, one of the great things about living over here and having this work over here is that this is a very libertarian society. It's a great place. There's people aren't concerned about you know, pointing fingers and calling you this and that, and have their ears pricked up all the time waiting to be offended. I mean, they find it funny if you make an off-color joke. I mean, you can make fun of pretty much anyone here, including yourself. And you know, it's very happy-go-lucky. It's just a wonderful place to live and work. But I went to the cafe. Oh man, this was oh man, probably like a year and a half ago, I guess. Right after I got here, there's a cafe downstairs in my building, and I walked in, and there's a sign. It says, "No straws will be sold on Friday."
Oh right, yeah, the Green City Ordinance or whatever.
Yeah, and this is and this is the Green City, right? This particular area in Manila that we're in, where we live and work, is it's called the Green City, and so they don't sell. It's illegal to sell straws on Friday. Friday, okay, because you know, you don't want to do that on Monday. We're having such a bad day. You need that straw on Monday.
Right.
So Friday. Now get this. This is insane. Okay, the statistics, it was something like 500 billion straws are used every day. Okay, I mean, some insane statistic. And it comes back to what this 9-year-old made up. I mean, this isn't a joke. And major companies are actually making financial decisions based on these statistics. And they're not really doing it because of statistics. It's because for some reason the straw is an enemy, okay? It embodies something that, because it's made out of plastic, and somebody happened to get some pictures of some marine life having straws, you know, in their orifices. And, okay? And so you take that with the picture, and then you say straws, and you put a fake number on it, and this went worldwide, okay? Now, what does this have to do with censorship? It actually has to do with the same concept of it, meaning that you can promote an idea that's entirely false, and as long as you're in control of the network that is normally censoring people that are trying to say, you know, what they think is the truth with a decent argument, you can use the same network to promote a complete lie. And not only that, but you can get a company, a publicly traded company, dumb enough, like Starbucks, who should be selling coffee, okay, folks, they should be selling coffee, not dealing with this garbage, to redo their entire lid, okay, so that there is no straw, but they've got a new lid that's got more plastic on it than the entire combination of the previous lid and the straw combined, and therefore it's much worse for the environment. And by the way, the United States is only responsible for an extremely small percentage of any plastic in the ocean. China is responsible for most of it. And straws, as a percentage of that, it's of such little quantity that you wouldn't be able to measure. It wouldn't even show up statistically. It wouldn't even show up as being a significant measurement in any. It would be the hundredths of a percent of this straw business. And now we're banning straws through this apparatus.
But it seems like something. It seems like something to the consumer. And remember, we were talking about this over lunch recently. The new marketing is, no, you're not buying a product. You're joining a team to save the world.
Yes, exactly. And so this is, if you take this same apparatus that is in control of, hey, let's forget about talking about the facts. If you want to talk about pollution in the ocean, if you really want to talk about global warming, if it happened that year, or if it happened season, you know, I mean, my God, global warming happens 4 times a year, depending, you know. It does, you know, climate change happens 4 times a year. And if you want to talk about that in realistic terms, we can do that, okay? But no, we're not going to. If you want to talk about apartheid and the problems with apartheid, if you want to talk about people taking somebody's land, okay, that doesn't belong to them, we can talk about that. But no, we can't do that. But what we can do is use this for some sort of cause. And I honestly think this is and this is where we're getting into the control part of it. If you can, I mean, look how easy it is for no reason to force people not to use straws anymore. And if you use a straw, right, now you're hellbent. This is just the first step here, my friend. I think that this is, you know,
you're right. Yeah, I believe you're right. It's lemming training in a way.
Yes. Although, you know what, interestingly enough, the videos of these lemmings, I remember the famous video of the lemmings all jumping off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that was fake. I don't know.
Right.
But that's something that should be researched, because I remember people mentioning that, and I remember seeing the film, but apparently that whole thing was somehow faked. I don't know that for a fact, but that, you know, it'd be interesting. Let's research that and see if I'm right. Here's a legitimate argument: is that whole lemming thing, you know, this whole stampede, they're just going to follow each other to their deaths? Is that correct? And if you guys out there listening know the answer to it, we'll be taking calls next show. We'll hopefully open that up. And you can call either through our studio here in Manila. We do have a U.S. number, and hopefully we'll be rocking that out and be able to do that. But, and by the way, thank you, May, here in Manila, for producing over here. It's such an incredible job. This is awesome. But good question. So for next week, let's have a bet. I think the lemming thing, if I remember right, the lemming video, the famous lemming video, which I think was produced back in the 1940s, is false, I think. Huh. What do you say? You want to bet?
No.
You want to bet something on
that?
No,
I wouldn't be surprised. Common knowledge, well, it's common anyways.
Yeah, there you have it. So, yeah. And we'll be getting into also maybe, I know that you have an axe to grind with some of these folks. One of the things that these folks are doing, Facebook and Twitter and all, you know, namely Facebook and a lot of these media outlets, of course, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, they're having to go and, pretend to hire groups of people that they organize to tell them that they're fact checkers and that what they're saying is right. I mean, how, you know, and it's so transparent. It's just like, okay, well, what we're saying is wrong. I have an idea. Why don't we invent fact checkers to say that we're right? Here's a bunch of money. Go do it. So Facebook, tremendous amount. That's a great industry right now. And so Phil here locked horns with one of these. Oh man, I don't even want to say the word. Yeah. And he's the founder and CEO of Media Bias Fact Check. So maybe we can dig into this guy a little bit later. I don't know. Maybe you got time. Why don't you want to take a couple shots at this guy?
Oh yeah.
Fire away. This guy apparently is a journalist, but he's not.
I don't recall the guy's name exactly. One thing that will forever stick in my mind is that when pressed, he came right out and rather petulantly, this was on Twitter, one of the times we had a little run-in, and explained that he never even said, I never said that I was an expert on any of this. Really.
Yeah.
And that's why you're putting yourself out there as a quote unquote unbiased fact checker.
Right. This guy has no history. And here's the thing. Then he started going after WorldNet Daily. And WorldNet Daily said, hey, well, so, I mean, who are you? Media Bias Fact Check guy. We noticed on your site here that you said you're a journalist for 15 years, but we kind of looked and wanted to read some of your stuff, and we can't find a single article. We can't find a single byline that you've been a journalist or wrote anything. Oh, well, I really just, I need to change that on the site. That's just not really. And this is a guy, here's your fact checker, folks. Here's your fact checker. He's lying about himself, about his qualifications. And guess what? Guess who pays him? Do we have to guess? I mean, do we have to? It's in complete line with their thinking, their way of thinking, and this is perfectly fine. Of course, it's Facebook. Facebook accounts for the most of this guy's salary and the people that his little minions. Who, by the way, what he does is when Phil here had a conversation with him, he said, well, I'll take a look at your site again. Because this guy, of course, said that we're, I don't know what, the worst of the worst. Believe me, we've got worse ratings than that. But, so Phil, says, hey, what's your deal with this? I'll take another look at you, and I'm going to have another guy do it. And this is a guy that he pays. Okay, so he gets the money from Facebook, with his credentials. And then he pays somebody, right? And I wonder who that person is, my Lord. We don't even know their names. I guess they've got names.
Subcontractor, yeah.
Yeah, and this guy comes back, and what you do is, here's their thing, and this is the same thing that he did to every single person that wanted an interview or question his rating, is he had a second person do another rating, and he rated you worse. He did it to WorldNet Daily, the Daily Caller, the Goldwater, everybody. That's, and the whole thing is, how dare you question me? You will be punished. Because I'm getting paid by Facebook to tell the truth, to tell the world what the truth is. Oh,
the official.
Lord. It is insanity, Phil. It is crazy.
It has to be true.
And how can anyone on earth be taking a look at these McKenna people, these Barb and what's the dude's name? And McKenna, the Snopes people. What is wrong with this?
Mickelson. It's Mickelson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's no longer with his wife, but some of the sex workers who were responsible for his marriage falling apart are now fact checked. This is according to Forbes.
Oh my Lord! If you can't see that what they're doing is in the question, okay, it's just like a survey. I mean, I can make a survey come out to pretty much anything else, and I don't have that much experience with it. But you can frame a question any way you want. You can do that and then shorten it, put it on your site, and put a little false thing right next to it. And then somebody with about a quarter-inch of attention span, just a millisecond, that they're, oh, well, it's just a red thing. It says that's false. Okay, well, come on. I mean, how stupid do we have to get? This is insanity, folks. It's really, really bad. I just don't get it. I think that we got a long ways to go. We got a lot of work to do, Phil. I mean, a lot of work. And I think that what we need to do is get a little more efficient about that. I think we've got some hope on the horizon in that it's only going to be a matter of time before there's going to be a lot of people bickering amongst each other, because they're eventually going to either get so confused that they're just unsure about what they need to be told. So, you know, the machine is going to go wrong somewhere. And hopefully when it breaks, there's enough on either side that they war with each other. And we'll be there to watch and report what we see and what we witness. Go to war with each other. I really do. That's the only way that I think we can survive this, along with maybe some vigilance and some good lawsuits. Some good lawsuits. So, continuing the fight, folks. Continuing the fight. I want to thank True again for trusting me to take his show on, and I'm happy to do it. Happy to help anytime. It's just an honor and privilege to be on this show. I really appreciate it. And we all are thinking about Alex. Again, once we get more information, again, this is something that is incredibly serious, but we just have to keep at it, keep calling these folks. I'll have some recordings from possibly his attorney and the people that are representing him, and then also I'll have recordings from the jail itself, the automated system that is telling us what charges he's officially being charged and held under a $5 million cash bond. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a $2 million cash bond. Insanity, folks. Nonetheless, again, thanks again, True, and Revolution Radio, the Goldwater, 8chan, all of it is the same idea. Please, no censorship, folks. This is just wrong. Let's keep us alive. Keep Revolution Radio alive. Subscribe to the archives. Go to freedomslips.com, and donate. Donate you can, and subscribe to the archives. It's a great way of doing things. So we will we'll be rounding out the entire show with just a big thank you from Manila, and Dom is texting me Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio is who you need to be supporting here. Revolution Radio, and please, folks, do subscribe to the archives, and it's revolution.radio. I'm sorry, the new URL. Thanks, Dom. That's nifty. I need to mark that down. So thanks again from Manila, Phil. I want to thank you again. Appreciate it as always.
Once again,
and everybody
thanks.
have a wonderful weekend. Friday is just going to be great. With Saturday morning here, it's wonderful. We're going to go find something with some straws in it, because it's Friday here. We can buy straws in this small area of Manila, and not have to worry about it. So we'll be. If you want to also go to labvirus.com, labvirus.com. That's labvirus, and that's version 3.0. If you want to take a look at the Alex's archives, some of the new things that are going on, will be. I'm sure he's got tons of. You're going to see a 4.5. I don't know what version LabVirus is going to be when we get Alex back with us, and so. Also, Jim Cherney and the folks over at 8chan, our sister company, they do a tremendous job. I understand that they did some effort to promote the Simulcast over there today, and that's just incredible. You can go to 8chan and create your own image board. Again, we don't charge anything to do that. It's for free. So yeah, please check that out. It's a great way of doing it, and it's going to be. You'll be hip. You'll be really up on it come 2020. when you'll be right in the middle of the battlefield where all these memes are coming from, and a bunch of really smart people go there. A bunch of people get their news from there and collaborate. And I don't know. It's been rumored that some of these folks with that have one-letter names for security clearances might be wandering the hallways and the networks over there. So we're just counting down to the end here. I don't hear any music, so I'm just kind of rambling on. True, if you're listening, thanks again. It was such an honor. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next week. Godspeed.